get close to me. Let's talk about a future, not a history.
Riley, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I got to ask right off the top, how are you holding up, man, as, of course, the world is dealing with COVID-19, still dealing with it from 2020 and, of course, in 2021?
Well, you know, it's definitely been a difficult year for a lot of people all over the world. I'm so fortunate to have been able to stay healthy and safe, my family as well, and I've really used a lot of this time to focus on just making good music this year. So, despite all of the challenges we faced this year, I'm extremely optimistic that, going into 2021 and eventually 2022, we're going to have some good times start to roll.
Just curious, during during this pandemic, has any of your songwriting styles changed, or the stories have changed because of that?
I think that, with this whole year, with 2020 and now into 2021 as a whole, it's really made me very, I don't know, I guess really introspective. I'm thinking a lot more. I'm more analytical about life. And, I've started to value things that, maybe I wouldn't have valued before. I've spent more time with my family. I've spent more time, taking care of myself. And this has made it so that I'm thinking on a whole new level. So I would say that this has definitely seeped into my writing, and it has made me a better writer for sure. It's definitely changed everything.
Well, congratulations on the new single that we're going to get a chance to talk about too. But, one of the things that has been mentioned about, your style of music and stuff, young man with an old school soul. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, without blowing my own horn here, I would say that I have a lot of, older influences from musicians from our past that have certainly shaped the way I perform and I write and I create as a musician for sure.
Well, let's talk about that growing up. I mean, what were the artists that you were listening to, and why the love of music?
Well, the kind of people I'm listening to that have kind of shaped who I am as an artist, really revolve around guys like John Mayer, Prince, Elvis Presley, and I've kind of been able to take a mix of people like that and kind of mold it into one thing that I feel truly represents my sound. And if not for those, A-listers and those guys that really transformed music into what it is today, I don't think that I would be the artist that I currently am.
So is it true about you and Guitar Hero? I'll just leave it to that.
Yes, that's a very true statement. I got my start on Guitar Hero, and when I was probably about 7 years old is when I discovered people like Twisted Sister and AC/DC, Whitesnake, and I think that I've used that as kind of a propeller to bring me to where I am now in my musical evolution.
No, it's kind of funny because not a lot of people would progress into being a musician. Some of them just stick with, just hitting the buttons. What was it like for you to really discover instruments and music and things like that?
I think I was just fanatical about listening to music. I loved the songs that I heard on Guitar Hero. So I figured, well, you know what? If I enjoy listening to them, I may as well try and play them. I think every child has an instinct to sing. And I think that that's how it really started. And I would listen to these songs and I would sing along. And when I realized that this was something that I enjoyed, I guess I believe that it was just okay to keep going. And I'm happy that I did.
Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
The first song that I wrote, I do remember it. It was called Summer Haze. I wrote it when I was 12 years old. And I don't, honestly, I look back at it sometimes. I listen to it, and I am so grateful that my writing skills have improved because we're going to make sure that nobody ever hears this song ever.
Well, you never know. Things can always happen. It's that kind of a world because when it's out there, it's definitely out there. But what kind of stories do you like to tell through your music?
I like to tell stories that everybody can relate to. Whether it talks about love, whether it talks about, just the feeling of being happy or euphoria. I like writing about these things because everybody's going to be able to relate to them at some point in their life. Specific topics maybe don't necessarily always matter to people because they just want to hear something that they can relate to and understand and identify with, because it makes people feel that they're not alone in their feelings, which I think is really important, that we, show our solidarity with other people in art.
Now, of course, we're talking about new music. I'm just curious, though, was this new music supposed to come out in 2020? And if so, did the COVID virus interfere with things that you were actually planning on doing?
Well, obviously 2020 had a big wrench thrown in it, and I thought that 2020 was going to be the year we were going to put out a ton of music and we were just going to go rolling and rolling. But yes, it did stall things a bit. I was fortunate to have been able to put a song out in 2020 in September. It's called Now I Know, which I had a great time creating and producing, and it did very well. People were enjoying it. So that was the only song I put out in 2020, but we had intended to put Turn Off the Lights out in probably, I would say, late October, early November. So it definitely stalled things a bit, but I think now we're back on track and we're better than ever.
Okay, you already mentioned the name, but I'm going to ask you again. What's the name of the new single and what's the song about?
This song is called Turn Off the Lights, and I wrote this song because I am so wrapped up sometimes in my career, in my work, in my music, my ambitions, that sometimes I just forget to take a step back and spend time with those that I love and that I care about and really prioritize what's important in life. So I wrote a song relating to one's struggle to find balance, and I added a bit of a romantic twist to it.
So baby, take my clothes off. I don't wanna leave this room. You're all I wanna do. Leave me with a memory, something that can get me through. Loneliness without you.
Kind of funny that you're talking about this kind of subject, because I think a lot of people have been going through that because of COVID-19 and rediscovering themselves in relationships.
I think it's forced a lot of people to spend a lot of time together, and maybe that's a bad thing, but maybe it's a good thing.
I think it's always a good thing in the end, no matter what, because you have to discover and learn about yourself and what people are like around you, and that's what you've done through this song. With this kind of a track, does that mean, you kind of mentioned you wrote a ton of songs, is there an EP or an album following all this?
Well, what I can tell you is that we are going to be putting out some more music this year in the single form, but we are working towards a full-length album, so I'm super excited to be starting to lay the groundwork down for that. We've been writing. I've been, constantly creating stuff that I feel is enjoyable, and I cannot wait to bring more music out to people.
Just curious, how are you doing the recordings? Because, at certain points, things have opened up a little bit where you can go to recording studios and then you can't. I know a lot of artists are basically almost sending pieces to each other, to producers, and recording. It's just a whole different system. How have you been able to record all of this stuff?
Well, in the case of Turn Off the Lights, we recorded those tracks in February of 2020 before everything was shut down in Ontario. So we kind of missed the cut off by, maybe just a few weeks. And so we were fortunate to get those done. But since we had other projects we wanted to do, we focused on doing remote recording. I have a pretty good recording studio set up at my home here. So I was able to produce still professionally sounding recordings and then send them off to my producer, my engineer, to finalize them, mix them. We can make some touch-ups. So it was an easy process because we had the equipment to do so.
Any chance for virtual performances, as we're still figuring out what's going to be happening with live performances?
Well, we're really working on live streams. Live streams are a really important thing right now. So I'm focusing on trying to live stream. I'm planning on live streaming on my Instagram and Facebook platforms every Sunday night. So, that's kind of been taking the place of the live performance until we can get back to it. But I'm optimistic that maybe by the end of 2021 we will be able to play a show or two.
Cross fingers on that. As we figure out what's going on, social media is the place to go to see what's going to be happening in your career, my friend. Where do we go to follow you to see about new music, live streaming, all those great things?
Well, first off, you can find me at my website. It's www.rileymichaels.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, both at Riley Michaels. And if you want to stream my music, you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube Music, and really anywhere you can listen to music online.
Amazing. Riley, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Congrats on the new single. Looking forward to everything you're doing in 2021, my friend, and cross fingers that at some point in 2021, the next time you and I speak, it will be in person because things will be safe.
Thank you so much, Rudy. You take care.
Appreciate it. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.